keeping a finger on the pulse in terms of where the world is going right now is super important, because now you start to see that, oh, okay, people are home more. Therefore, these great opportunities, for there to be a big culture change around learning. So maybe I should get into online education, and just figure out, how do I put together great solutions for these trying times? Because things are about to change. COVID is changing things, so you need to know what's going on.
Yet another week and yet another podcast episode. We do hope that you're enjoying all the gems that we drop here. If you feel like the content resonates with you, feel free to check us out on our platforms such as Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, and the like, to comment, like, subscribe, and share with family and friends and various WhatsApp groups to keep up with the gems of knowledge we drop here. So today we're going to be talking about a little gem that we're looking forward to growing. The marketing team at ALU has created an MVP version of an online course for young entrepreneurs. This course has 12 ALU entrepreneurs guiding, inspiring, reflecting, and dropping wisdom on what it really takes to make stuff happen. So the goal here is to get this into the hands of as many young aspiring entrepreneurs on the continent as we can. While it's targeted at high school students, it is still relevant to anyone interested in entrepreneurship. So please check it out and let us know what you think. So before we even get started into our guests, I'd like to have a special mention to COVID-19 and the situation that's at hand. We'd like to empathize with the world that is going through the hard times right now. Economies are crashing. People can't go to work, kids can go to school, but also we're looking forward into finding innovative ways to make our circumstances better. So we definitely encourage you to practice good hygiene and sanitation. For example, washing your hands with soap and having hand sanitizer with you at all times. Trying your level best not to touch your face and staying indoors. Please stay indoors. Yes, so getting into the podcast for today. Sean Karanja is a second-year ALU student and the founder of Project Exponential. This is an educational platform teaching youth the art of thinking big and equipping them with the tools, skills, networks, and resources to execute bigger. He also happens to be quite good at emceeing. We've seen him at events such as TEDx ALC 2019 in Mauritius and others to mention, but I think he'll mention them or not throughout this podcast. But thank you so much, Sean, for being with us today. And maybe I can start off with the first question. So, who is Sean Karanja, and tell us more about Project Exponential?
So, first of all, Sav, thanks for having me on the podcast. As for who I am, I'm currently a second-year business management student at the African Leadership University, and prior to that, I was at the African Leadership Academy. So I think I've spent a lot of time in that in an ecosystem where entrepreneurship is not only encouraged but is taught at the core of everything that we do. So I think I was around 18 when I decided to actually take a leap forward in entrepreneurship. And it all started out with me taking a gap year. And I decided that, one of the things that, I was finding hard, especially in the beginning of that gap year, was getting an internship. So I said, you know what, it shouldn't be that hard. Employers keep saying stuff like, you're unripe, you need all sorts of certification and work experience. I'm like, this is meant to be my first one, right? So where am I getting the experience from? So I decided to go out and solve that problem. And so that's where Project Exponential came from. And what Project Exponential basically is a talent pipeline. So we work with youth in high school. So our niche is high school. So just before you're applying to your universities, etc., what we do is we take young people at that stage through professional development programs, as well as giving them the opportunity to network with people who are already in their fields of interest. So, if you're a bunch of young people who want to be a lawyer, as part of one of our programs, we have mentorship opportunities where you can get to actually see what people who are in these fields you're interested in are doing, and then
Yeah.
we help you take it a step further and perhaps get internships, etc. So yeah, that's what we do at Project Exponential. So you come in, you're unripe, you leave, and you're ripe. So that's how we work.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. So obviously you've been part of the AO community from way back. I mean, you've been part of ALA, now you're part of ALU. So how'd
Yes.
you get to know about ALU itself, aside from, being a part
Right.
of ALA, and what does entrepreneurial leadership mean to you?
Okay. So I think my first introduction to ALU, I think beyond just knowing that it exists, right? It was actually through students who are part of the inaugural class. So during my
Okay.
gap year, I got to meet, a couple of ALU students who are on internship. And I mean,
Yeah.
they were working at all these crazy places, and, the types of
The
conversations that
McKinseys, the
we're having,
Mests.
right? So the
Yeah.
types of conversations, I mean, like we'd be having about, where they're working, things that they're working on. I'm like, these are young people who are actually involved in really high level thinking and doing in corporate and entrepreneurial spaces. So, for me, I was like, okay, I was in a time when, I was really trying to decide where I'm going to go next. So for the longest time, I
Right.
thought I was going to go to the States, right? So I deferred my admissions, and I was like, you know what, I'll come next year. But during that time and meeting these guys and becoming friends with them, um, I mean, my mind was really blown. I was like, okay, so this high level quality of education is available on the
In
continent,
Africa.
and it's tailored for you to be successful on the continent. The employer network is insane, etc. I was like, whoa, okay, look, do I want to go to like the North Pole, far away from everything, and freeze and just be disconnected from the society I want to be impactful in, or do I want to be
Yeah.
in a space where I'm learning about entrepreneurship. I'm around positive people. I don't feel too disconnected, and so yeah, it was really through those guys that I understood that ALU is an insane place, and I'd be missing out if I wasn't a part of it.
Right.
Yeah.
So how'd you get to know more about entrepreneurial leadership journey that you were undertaking?
At ALU. What?
Yeah, generally, or just
Yeah.
even before ALU, what impact has entrepreneurial leadership had on your life?
Right. So I think going to ALA, that was really the first time that I saw those two words being combined, entrepreneurship and leadership. In most of our spaces, you only hear of them exclusive to each other, right? So you hear of leadership, you hear of entrepreneurship, no link, right? And so, when the idea was first posed to me in the form of an entrepreneurial leadership class, I was intrigued, right? And basically, I think one of my earliest takeaways was that being an entrepreneur means that you're a leader in terms of thought and innovation. So you're leading a new way of doing something or solving a problem, right? So you're leading in that proactivity of actually finding a problem to solve, and then taking ownership of it and actually delivering a solution, etc. So that's been what entrepreneurship really means to me, and what has stuck for me, and really that's when I think about it, that's what I think of. You lead the thought and action of problem solving, and for something that you're passionate about. That's ideally what it is for me.
Okay, that sounds great. So obviously we've talked about entrepreneurial leadership and diving deeper. You've been part of Venture by AOU.
Yes.
Tell us a bit more about that experience. Who is it for? What did you talk about exactly, and what's the course about?
Yes. So Venture by ALU actually was I didn't see it coming. So a couple of people at ALU had reached out to me and they said, "Look, we want to create this online course that is tailored for young entrepreneurs who want to get a footing in, you know, that process of, creating a startup and perhaps might not know what to do, how to go about it. And the best way to do that is through the voices and experiences of other entrepreneurs, right?" So I said, "Hey, I'm totally on board." And what venture actually turned out to be was, really there's a sense of intimacy and openness. When you go through the course and like you're hearing about the journeys of these different entrepreneurs, and it's supplemented by other like tips and content to help you go through, the different aspects of entrepreneurial. So you've got, you know, thinking. So ideally,
Right.
talking about the mindset, what's it like to be an entrepreneur? What are some entrepreneurial qualities? And then actually, the launching aspect and the doing aspect of it. So, what is it that you do? How did you launch? What was the process of bringing your venture to life? And then, some of the more final stages, we were talking about, how do you sustain the growth of this venture? What are some of the mistakes that you've made? What's some of the best advice that you've been given? And just talking about the different tips and tricks of how to get from no idea to some idea of a business to actually having a business and scaling it. So
Sustaining
that
it. Yeah.
yeah, that's basically what venture is. So it's for anyone who'd really like to go through that process, but might not know how to exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So we've talked about the start, think, launch, and grow.
Yes.
Is it what the continent needs right now, in your opinion?
Pardon?
Is it what the continent needs right now? This Venture by ALU course. Do you think it could reach a wider audience aside from the people who are looking at startups? Like, could it help somebody in their
Yeah.
entrepreneurial journey? Okay.
Well, that's
All right. So, no, just go ahead.
yeah. No, I was saying yeah. Definitely, I think it's for people who are both entrepreneurial or maybe people who didn't know that they were, and this course could probably open your eyes up to the fact that there's an entrepreneur in all of us.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So, what does the future look like for a venture, and what new content can the entrepreneurs look forward to engaging with?
So when I think of the future of venture, I really see this as going beyond just courses and online content, to them actually creating a space where we could have conversations about entrepreneurship. I think that would really be the next stage when I could get onto this platform and really feel like different thought leaders within the entrepreneurial space in Africa are contributing, so that it's going beyond just the ALU community contributing to this, right?
Yeah.
I feel like the next stage for venture would be to definitely tap into the African Leadership Network that ALU and ALA etc. have the privilege of being tapped into, and just using that to gain some value and deliver value to people outside of that network. So I really think that would be the next stage. Even just more templates, more workshop type content that just helps you be a lot more hands-on with your ideation and your creating your solutions.
Okay. All right then. With the rise of COVID-19, maybe you can tell us more about how people can access these courses or anything that has to do with entrepreneurial leadership, or maybe some of the things that you've done to ensure that you keep up with the knowledge that you already have. I mean, a lot of kids are not in school right now, and a lot of people are not actively working in their offices right now. And obviously, entrepreneurs are really having a ball, coming up with various innovator solutions for their company. So maybe you can tell us some of the resources that you could use to access entrepreneurial leadership content.
So in light of definitely, we know that the whole spread of COVID-19 is having a lot more people indoors. Businesses are facing challenges here and there, but definitely I think this is one of those things that has come about, which we could use to our advantage as entrepreneurs, I think, especially in the areas of our own personal development. Definitely, I'm taking time off right now to, sit back and, add to my skill set, right? So I think I'd encourage all entrepreneurs, all aspiring entrepreneurs to just take time off and just figure out, okay, in line with whatever goals I have, what are some of the skills that I need to be developing right now, and what is some of the research and some of the knowledge that I need to have right now. So definitely one of my favorite platforms to bridge my knowledge gap has always been YouTube. Personally, I'm a visual learner, so I'm constantly just searching, different questions that I may have. I follow different blogs and articles on websites like Medium. Also following the news on Bloomberg, etc. I feel like these are really great resources for any entrepreneur to be using right now to just figure out where's the world going, so that you as an entrepreneur, again, back to the concept of you need to be leading a certain change or a certain thought or problem solving in whatever area you're in entrepreneurially, right? So keeping a finger on the pulse in terms of where the world is going right now is super important, because now you start to see that, oh, okay, people are home more. Therefore, these great opportunities, for there to be a big culture change around learning. So maybe I should get into online education. Maybe you should get into, delivery logistics. Doing stuff like, delivering food, etc. So I think for entrepreneurs right now, really take time to go through programs like venture, and just figure out how do I put together great solutions for these trying times, because things are about to change. COVID is changing things, so you need to know what's going on.
Okay. All right, then. So thank you so much, Sean, for being with us. This has been the AOU podcast. Maybe you can tell the people where they can reach you, and, if there are any projects that are coming out soon, what we should look out for when it comes to Sean Karanja.
Definitely. One of the best ways to reach me is definitely through Instagram or Twitter, using my name, Sean Karanja. So I'm pretty accessible on those. If you'd like to know more about Project Exponential, we're very active on Instagram as well as Twitter. Just search for Project Exponential Kenya, and you will see us right there. Definitely, this seeing as COVID-19 has us back on the continent, back home. So we're doing a lot of pivoting into more online content. We've actually got some posts going up tonight and throughout the rest of the month, the week, the year. So we're really just boosting our online presence and creating more course content, actually similar to venture. Those are some of the things that we're looking forward to.
All right, great. Yes. So thank you so much for being with us. Until next time.